Welcome to Managers Managers, a podcast where managers discuss their success journeys. We will also meet with people navigating their way to the top of their field. These stories are meant to inspire. I am your host, Don Bartholomew. We have Michael Greenberg with our Klockner medals.
Hi, Don. How you doing?
Hi, Michael. Take it away. Let the audience hear about you, where you're from, your position, your work. Let's hear
Okay.
it.
Well, I thank you for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Yes.
And again, my name is Mike Greenberg. I'm with Klockner Metals Corporation. I'm the logistics manager for the Charlottesville, Virginia branch. And what I do in my position is I'm responsible for all the inbound and outbound logistics for the branch, as well as interacting with the other branch managers, branch transportation managers throughout the country with our company. Klockner Metals Corporation is the world's third largest processor of steel. We have over 54 branches in North America. So basically, my position along taking care of my branch is making sure I help out other branches as well when it comes to moving our steel around the country and keeping it profitable and getting it there safe and damage-free.
That's a big responsibility you got there.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility, but it's a position that I enjoy. I get a lot of satisfaction out of it, and it's also helping to keep the wheels of this great country going, because logistics and steel are a big part of how this country was built.
Now we doing like on your story to how you actually became the logistics manager for this big company, like how you started.
Okay. Well, believe it or not, years ago when there were dinosaurs on the earth and, we kind of drove around and fled Flintstones cars, when I first graduated out of college, believe it or not, I started off in retail. And I was a Spencer gift store manager for a couple of years. And basically, retail is a really good place for a lot of people to start because you learn a lot about how to be an entrepreneur and how to manage, how to sell, as well as acquiring a good business acumen. When you need a good framework to be a manager. And then I kind of stumbled into transportation as kind of like an afterthought. If you talk to many logistics managers around the country and around the world, it seems like a lot of people started off in another career, but then you ended up in transportation because it is kind of fulfilling. So basically, after being in retail, I worked for a major railroad, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, and I was there for a while. Then I left the railroad for a little bit and went to work for Johnsonville Sausage. And I was a business-to-business salesman with them for a little over a year. And then I went back to work for the railroad for a while. And then when the Burlington Northern and Santa Fe merged back in the early 90s, basically I had a choice of transferring or basically leaving the company. And at the time I was engaged, and the lady I was engaged to didn't want to move. So I quit my job and went to work for a small intermodal drayage company, and she didn't quite like that so much. So I was still in transportation. And then after that, I met another lady, and we got married and kind of moved around the country, working for different transportation companies and trucking companies around the nation, and ended up at Klockner Metals Corporation about 6 years ago and been there ever since. And I haven't regretted it at all.
So the first lady, she didn't like the moving around.
Well, she wasn't going to leave. She wasn't going to leave her mother. Her and her mother were tight. So hey, it is what it is. Another chapter opened, and it's a good thing because now I'm currently married to my wonderful wife of 23 years, and it's been wonderful ever since.
Right. That's good. So Michael, in between the transition from the retail to the wives, what kept you going? What resources kept you going all this time?
Well, I'm motivated to always do better. I did some DuPont training many years ago about constant improvement. This was during the big push when every American company wanted to be like a Japanese company. This was like during the 80s and 90s where everything had to be how the Japanese did it. constant improvement, Kaizen, lean, and all those things were just starting to happen. This is before Six Sigma and all those things.
Right.
And basically, as you progress and get promoted, you want to do better. You want to increase your knowledge base. You want to increase your experience base. And I'm very motivated by learning, and I think a lot of people are too. Where you learn a new trade, you learn something new, you increase your knowledge base, you increase your experience, and as you do that, you become a better person, you become a better manager, to where you can acquire more and more to add to your tool bag, so that way you can move up to the next level. And that's what I've always wanted to be, is just keep going to the next level. And I'm hoping to still make it more levels after now. So but right now, that's what I've done throughout my career, is just I've always been, and I think if you talk to most logistics people, they're motivated that way, to where they want to find things better, leave things better than when they found them, and they also want to keep acquiring tools, keep acquiring knowledge, in order to make themselves better people, as well as better managers.
Yes. And in the changing up and the learning and the betterment, what is one thing you wish you had known, like before you come into the transportation, or anything you wish you had known that you know now would have helped?
There's so many things, but probably the biggest thing, that if I would have known then what I know now, is basically listen more. Um, when you're young and first out of school or first in the industry, you think you have all the tools you need, you have a degree, but you have no experience, but yet you think you know it all, and you don't listen. And that was probably one of my biggest fault, was I wasn't actively listening. I was passively listening, but I wasn't actively listening. And basically, if I could tell my younger self, if I could go back 30 some odd years when I first started out, I would sit myself down and say, look, you need to actively listen, pay attention, and actually take to heart what a lot of the life experience that you're about to acquire. You need to take it to heart. You need to listen actively. And I think, that's probably the one thing.
Yeah, so listening is a major, major thing.
Yes.
Right. So if I'm not listening, your biggest your biggest failure is what, not listening, or you have something else there?
Well, now I listen actively, but a lot of things now um, it's just patience. You need to be patient. And that's one thing that I've learned as I get older. And excuse me, I need a drink here. As I get older and whatnot, is getting, with age comes perspective, and with perspective comes patience. And some people are just not good at expressing themselves, or they're just not good at communicating. And so you need to actively listen, and continue to make sure that they're getting their point across, that you understand it clearly. So as you understand that clearly, you can come to them with a solution, or you can come to them with whatever, and make it work. I get a little dry. And that's the whole thing, is part of that, with the perspective and the actively listening. That'll help you really grow your career, because you can actually understand and actually put something together to where you can really be successful.
So what will you say is your unique skill set that brought you this far? What?
Um, well, every manager, every person builds a unique skill set, and you get that through experience. And as you acquire that skill set, you need to make sure that they're good tools, and that they're used, and that they're tested. And the thing is that, unless you're also using those tools all the time, it's just like a good carpenter, or a good mechanic. If they're not up to date on those tools, if they're not constantly practicing and using those tools, then they're no good. So, as you acquire those skills, acquire those tools, you need to keep using them, and then keep improving with them. If you're not doing that, if you're not constantly improving, then they're not any good to you. So the whole thing is, you need to make sure that you have a really good skill set, a good tool kit available, to where you can draw on it and be able to interchange your tools quickly to basically adapt to the situation that you're in, or adapt to the environment that you're in. Is using those tools or that skill set. Does
All
that make
right.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, that make a lot of sense. So in your field with your company right now, do you do any mentorship or anything like that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I mentor our younger associates in the company. As they come on, they call me and they ask me for advice, which I consider a high honor. When people, and also people that are outside my company,
Right,
people that work for some of my trucking companies, brokers that I use, logistics people.
right,
Um, you know, I like to mentor them along where they say, like, Mike, I have this situation with this person and XYZ. And I can say, well, I went through something similar. This is what I did. And maybe that'll help you. And they'll be like, wow, I would have never thought of that.
right,
And when the light bulb goes on, that's a great moment to where, you've taught something, you've given them a tool to help them overcome their obstacle. And then, they can go ahead and they can succeed.
right. So you mentor all the younger people and
Hmm.
even people you do business with. That's
Yeah, because
great.
I love to coach and teach. It's a wonderful thing. Seeing the light bulb come on, it really does. It's a wonderful feeling.
Oh, okay. And what else do you do with the company? You do mentor, you're in charge of the logistics, the shipping, the receiving.
Hmm. Well, right now we had our admin lady. She got promoted into sales, so I'm also helping her, helping by doing accounts payable, which is teaching me a whole new aspect of the business. Let me tell you, because people want their money. So it's been really interesting trying to get that, because the thing is, when you think you know it all and you think that you have all these wonderful tools, and then you go into an area where you're really not all that familiar with, you're kind of like, oh boy, what do I do now? So basically, you try to use some of these tools. It's like, well, that one doesn't work. Let's try this one, and let's try this one, and let's try this one. So, the AP thing, it's something different, accounts payable, but it's been a great experience so far. So it's something else that I can put into my tool bag. So it's been a challenge, but
Yeah, it's
it's been
knowledge.
wonderful.
It's information, it's learning.
Mm-hmm,
So it's gonna work somewhere along the line.
mm-hmm,
All right. And so with the company, you use the guy who like when people calling
mm-hmm,
to book freight or
mm-hmm,
to get onto the transportation manager, use the
mm-hmm.
guy they actually talk to.
Yeah, for my branch, because like with our company, in order to become a carrier partner, you have to be sponsored in by a branch. You have to be sponsored in by somebody. Most companies are like this, where you have to be sponsored in. And so, like with Klockner, when you call in, basically, you're going to say, "Hey, I'm with XYZ brokerage, or I'm with XYZ trucking company, and I want to haul your freight. What is your process to be onboarded?" And if they have interest, they can say, "Well, tell you what, like with Klockner, we have a carrier setup packet. Let me send it to you. Fill it out, send it back to me, and then if everything checks out, then we can go ahead. We can onboard you within like a week or two, and then once you have a number, then we can go ahead and we can get you hauling freight. But half the battle is, do you actually provide a unique service? And the thing is that that's where you're going to have to approach it. Being a new trucking company or a new broker or whatever is, a lot of us have heard all the lines, especially those of us who've been in the business for a lot of years. So you're going to have to approach that person, with something that they haven't heard before, or something new, or something unique, some niche that you can provide them, to where they'll onboard you and get you on. And so that's what you're going to have to do. So hopefully that'll help you as well.
Right. So that they have to come with something to actually get you to respond to their call.
Yes, because the average transportation manager gets hundreds of phone calls a day from people wanting to be sponsored on, wanting to have brokers come on and whatnot, and they're going to hang up on you unless you can tell them that, hey, I have something unique I can offer you, rather than brand X or your current carrier that you're using. This is what I can do for you, and let me show you. That's the whole thing. We want to be shown. Show me what you can do. Prove it. And if you can do those things, you're in.
Right. No talking, action.
Yes.
Right. So
Talk is
for
cheap.
true. So for the new brokers there out there and the new trucking companies that want to book freight with you guys,
Hmm.
you have to come you have to come with value.
Yes.
Okay, you hear that,
Yes, and
guys?
that's not just us. That's everybody. I mean, you're going to have to, you got to add some sort of value to your name. I mean, there's just so many. The trucking industry is so segmented. I mean, if you look at all the DOT numbers out there, they're now in the one almost 2 million range. So you figure you got, some of them are active, some of them are not. But you figure you got hundreds of thousands of people out there trying to get at this one transportation manager to get a piece of the pie. So what can you do to get that piece of the pie? That's the challenge.
That's the biggest question it have right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you say you gotta come with value, you gotta come with something different.
Hmm.
But
You have to
hey,
ask questions, and like I said, like I would have told my younger self, you have to actively listen.
you have to listen.
Because it's so easy to where I want to make 200 phone calls today, but how many out of that 200 phone calls are actually quality calls where you actually took the time to listen to the customer or the prospect and and um, and ask the right questions to where you can push all the right buttons to where they will go ahead and they will commit to you and you can make that sale.
Right. So the best way you think, what will you accept more, a phone call or email?
For myself, I prefer email because my phone gets blown up on a daily basis, and most transportation managers, we do. Our phone blows up between our customers, between our internal customers, the people that we work with, our operations people, the people that are in the plant producing the materials, so on and so forth. I get hundreds of phone calls a day. I prefer an email with a brochure saying that, Mike, this is how we can help you. This is our service. This is my company. This is our company. These are our people. This is what we can do. Give me a chance. And 9 times out of 10, I'll give that person like a rate chart of all my cities, but I won't put any rates on there. And I'll say, I'll give you a chance. Here's all the cities that I ship to. These are all the cities I receive from. Give me a bid package and show me what you can do. So that's the first thing. And then if the prices are great, then I'll say, wonderful, let's talk. That's when you make the phone call. And then that's when you can get to know each other and you can say, well, yeah, it's going to work, or no, you sound just like brand X that I've been using for 25 years. But the thing is, at least you have your foot in the door, and at least, there's somewhat of a relationship there. Your foot's in the door to where if it might not happen the first time around, you can always call that person back and say, hey, remember me? And they'll remember you.
Yes.
And the thing is, if you keep checking in from time to time, eventually your opportunity is going to come, and you'll get that first load, and then the relationship will blossom from there.
Okay. That is some good information to the brokers out there, the trucking companies. Ooh, that is gold there. You just give gold there as a transportation manager.
Hmm.
So it's crazy there.
Yeah, and I think most transportation managers would agree, because I mean, we don't want to get bombed with phone calls. What can you do to differentiate yourself? They'll be more apt to read something and look at it, even though we get 40 million junk emails a day. I will look at a prospective freight company at their email and their brochure rather than take that phone call. The guy like, hey, I'm Joe Schmo with XYZ Trucking, and I'm going to be your number one trucker. Click.
Right. All right. So what do you think about a video email?
Video email, that I'm kind of mixed with, because there's some places where they got firewalls.
Oh,
And if you're getting videos, it's not gonna get through because of the size of the files. Some companies will do it and some won't. So that's a 50-50 proposition. I think it's much better if you send like a PDF, a nice PDF brochure, or like an Excel spreadsheet, or something talking about your company with some graphics, with some, something that they can read in maybe a minute or two. And if you do something like that, you'll be very, very successful. You'll probably open more doors than you will have phone calls hung up on you.
all right. Okay. All right. So So that was enough for the new brokers and trucking companies. Let's go back to your current position and how you started and stuff.
Okay.
What do you have out there for somebody wanting to be a logistics manager, transportation manager? What advice you have for them who want to pursue your same career?
Okay. Basically be open-minded. Because, again, most people that are in transportation positions, really never intended to be in transportation positions. But the thing is that if you're aspiring to be a vice president of transportation, COO, CFO, whatever, is learn the nuts and bolts from the ground up, from loading trucks to driving trucks to dispatching trucks to seeing how the operation works to working in accounts payable to working in accounts receivable to getting certifications, like your CTP, Certified Transportation Professional, going to TSI training in Oklahoma City or online and getting your TSI DOT certificate, getting all those things and building your knowledge base, because, everybody wants experience. So if, say, like, for example, you're a college student and you're studying in a logistics program or something like that, the best thing you can do is do an internship with a trucking company or a logistics company. There's internships offered all the time. I know with Klockner, we offer one at our corporate headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, where, we bring people in and they do summer intern work, and it is a paid internship. And if you want to check it out, it's on at klocknermetals.com. We usually do it every summer. But this summer is over with, but we'll be doing it again next year. But a lot of trucking companies and logistics companies do these things to where get your foot in the door. It's also a great foot in the door for you to get a position, because they figure they've already trained you, their culture, you have some experience, you'll then have your degree, and then as you go along, you might be able to go ahead and get your certifications as you go along, and you can move up. And then the thing is that recruiters look for that, especially if you're young and you got some experience and you got some certifications. The ceiling is, there's no ceiling. All you could do is go up and up and up and up. And there's so many different ways you can move because logistics is such a large field. There's so many different modes of transportation. You can go into business yourself as a broker. You can go ahead and become a trucker and own trucks, or get into steamship or intermodal drayage or whatever. It's such a broad field to where you can find your niche and fill that niche and be very, very successful in it, because it's not an easy field, but it is very rewarding.
Yes.
Hope that
And
answers that question for you.
yes. Thank you very much. And while you doing this, what any other tools or books you read on your journey? Any?
Pretty much every book on quality, I've read, but also the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is a really good one. Because, if you can establish some effective habits, you become a much better manager. You can delegate better. You can manage your time better. Also, Maxwell's 21 Steps is a good one as well. Books on leadership as you move up. Servant leadership is another good one. Finding all these things where you can be a better person, a better leader, but also a better follower too. Because in order to be a good leader, you got to be able to be a good follower. You have to understand your people. You got to get to know them. You got to know the culture and whatnot. And then you, as the boss, have to establish that culture. What type of culture do you want to do? So, those types of things are very, very effective tools to where you can go ahead and you can, as you start to assemble your team, or as you want to move up or whatever, those are great blocks to lay your foundation to really build a very, very, solid person being yourself to become a really good logistics manager.
Right. So you say be a good, besides a good leader, be a good follower too.
Be a
Meaning
good follower.
meaning like look for a mentor, like somebody doing the things that you want to do.
Exactly. And ask questions. Ask lots of questions, because the only stupid question is the one not asked. Ask lots of questions, because like with me, when people ask me stuff, I tell them, shoot, ask until you can't think of anything else. Keep asking questions. That's what it's all about. Why? Those of us who got Six Sigma, all about your 5 whys. So, if you're really into Six Sigma approach, then use that approach to talk to your mentor, challenge them.
Yes. And so with this position you have here for this massive company, um, what is you what you most proudest of?
What do I what?
What are you most proudest of?
What I'm the proudest of?
Yes.
The proudest thing that we have is we're very proud of our culture. From my boss, Don Troy, on down to our drivers, is that we're a very safe company. We're a very profitable company. We all talk, we all communicate, and it's a team. It's one team. We all, like we all tell each other, we're one Klockner. From the largest branches to the smallest branches, to the branches in Europe, to the ones in South America, to the ones in North America, it's one Klockner. And we all talk to each other. We all communicate. And that type of culture is just awesome, where you can actually reach out and talk to a transportation manager in the UK. And then maybe some guy from Brazil will call me and whatnot. It's really just a great culture that our company fosters, to where, everybody feels comfortable, to where if you're in a meeting and you're having a really bad issue, you can reach out to your peers and they'll drop everything and help you solve it. That's what I'm proudest of.
Okay. And you had a mentor? Did you
Yes.
had a mentor growing up?
Yes, I had a mentor, and I still got one. As a matter of fact, with this company, his name's Don Troy.
Right.
With Klockner, he's our director of logistics. Great man. I would follow that man and do anything for him. And to me, that's the mark of a good mentor, where, they'll build you up, they'll smack you down when you need it, ask you questions, impart knowledge. And that's what I try to do with my mentees. Is, you build them up, and if they need a good smackdown, you give them a smackdown, but then you build them back up again. It's kind of like, when soldiers go away to basic training, first thing they do is they're broken down, then they're built right back up. And that's what you got to do with people. And it's really cool when you see them succeed and actually do better than I got people that have done better than myself. They're CEOs of companies now, and I'm happy for them. I think it's a wonderful thing to see that.
All right. And concerning like the family and stuff, the most important person in your life right now?
The most important person in my life is my family. Because that's why I do what I do. And it's not just my home family, it's my work family. It's the people that I work with in my branch. A lot of people don't, some people look at it that way, some people don't. But if you think about it, you're at work 8 hours a day, or longer, at least 5 days a week, sometimes longer. And they're like your work family. And the thing is that you're all in it together, from top to bottom, and you're all rowing in the same boat. And they're very, very important to me, because I know that they're depending on me and I'm depending on them. And so we got each other's backs. And, if you can get in that type of environment, it's absolutely wonderful, because then you can really do great things, because then you can start really getting into the honest questions, where you can really get down to the nuts and bolts of things, to where you're not afraid to share. And that's a really great thing as well.
Okay.
So they're important to me. My work family is.
Of course, your half of your life is there, so.
Yes.
All right. And with work, family, building yourself, what will you say is the most important lesson you learn in life, besides listening?
Other than listening, the most important thing is be giving of yourself and your time. Kind of like what we're doing right now. Don't hold back. Don't hold any secrets. Be giving of yourself and your time. People that ask for it, be willing to give it to them. Be able to share, because you have a gift. People have gifts to give to each other, and you should be giving those gifts to each other. Whether it be the gift of knowledge or the gift of experience or whatever. To where if you're giving somebody a gift, you see the joy in their eyes when like when you give your child a gift for a holiday. The joy in their lives is you can see the same joy when you impart a little bit of knowledge that helps that person out. It's like giving them a gift. And so don't be selfish with your gifts. Be generous with them.
Just give and be fruitful.
Yes.
Right. And like as you the company you with now, how long you working there now? How long?
I've been there 6 years.
6 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you curious about right now at this point?
What has me really curious is what's going on in the freight industry right now with the current freight recession. Right now, Cass Transportation Index shows that we're in 27 or 28 months straight freight recession, which has me concerned. We've seen these type of events before, and we've come out of it. But what concerns me is how quickly we went from a crazy freight environment to where there was over 100 and something loads for each truck just last year to where now there's only like maybe 3 or 4 loads. Pricing continues to slide, which is good for my end because I'm on the shipping end, but the truckers and the brokers and whatnot are it's getting even more competitive in some places maybe even desperate, trying to secure that extra load, that extra piece of freight in order to keep their enterprises going. So I'm just curious to see, have we seen bottom? And I don't think so. I don't think we've seen bottom yet. I think if fuel prices continue to fall, which they're supposed to, EIA says that they're going to be falling a little bit more until we get to the refineries when they switch over to their fall mixes and stuff like that for the different EPA regs. I'm curious to see just how low this is going to go. And I think it's going to go just a little bit lower before things start bouncing back again.
It's scary. It's really scary.
It is. It's somewhat concerning, but I've seen this before and it's corrected itself. And I'm thinking this is probably the correction a lot of people said was going to happen because things were just really, really crazy there for a while where, you could throw a rock out and you could get a load, and you could name your price. If you're a broker, you call somebody, well, I got a truck. Well, I got a load for you here. Here's $5,000 on a load that somebody usually only pays like $1,000 or $2,000 for. Those days are gone right now because it's such a competitive environment because of how things are. So I'm just curious to see just how low this is going to go.
So you think it's going to get worse before it gets better?
Gets better, yes.
That's scary. Jeez.
Yeah, it is concerning. But the thing is if you offer a good service and you have good partners and you take care of them, they'll take care of you. And that's the key is you got to build those type of relationships to carry you through the difficult times as well as the good times. That's another thing is I'd like to recommend to everybody is take care of your customers even in the good times when you can make lots of money on other people that are paying more. You need to stick with your bread and butter because they're the ones who got you through the difficult times as well. So keep that in mind.
Keep your dedicated customers.
Yes, because they were there for you when you needed them the most.
All right, and we need to do a next episode too. But
that's fine.
For now, in this episode here, where can the audience, the trucking companies, the brokers, where could they find you? How could they get onto you?
They can contact me either at work at mgreenberg@clarkmetals.com. Feel free to shoot me an email if you're looking for any advice or want to shoot an idea out or whatever. I'll be willing to listen to you. So thank you so much. Thank you for honoring me for the show today. And hopefully we'll talk again very, very soon because I thought hopefully you found this enlightening, and it was great to share.
It was the best, Michael. It was really good. Some good information there, and I think a lot of people is gonna appreciate the info.
Good deal. Thank you.
All right, Michael. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. You have a good night. Thanks, Don.
You too, Mike.
All right,
Bye.
goodbye.